Okay. So, B'siyati Dishmaya. Today's the Yidula, also the Batayin. Also big lights. So, Batayin, Zchuto Yagen Aleinu. This week we also had the Mittler Rebbe. Rabbi David Abuhatzeira is coming up tomorrow night. Ateret Roshenu, the brother of the Baba Sali, the older brother of the Baba Sali, who's killed in Kiddush Hashem. So, a lot of lights this week. Mizat Hashem, and get into our Tanya. We're continuing in the middle of Perek Aleph. We left off at the Aga'ah. There's the Aga'ah, and the Baal Tanya brings in U'ma shekatuv bezohar chelek gimel daf rala kol shemimuatin avonotav. So the Zohar, according to that Zohar there, the intention is that the Zohar comes to a zvara that tzadik v'ralo is a person who has still a little bit of sins. Right? We are learning what is the difference between these 5 levels of a rasha v'ralo, rasha v'tovlo, benoni in the middle, and then tzadik v'ralo and tzadik v'tovlo. AKA Nefesh Ruach Neshama Chaya Yechida, AKA Asiya Yetzira Bria Atzilut Ak Adam Kadmon, AKA Arich Anpin Abba Ima Zer Anpin and Malchut De Atzilut. Our whole goal, why does everybody say this book is to be a Benoni? Because the goal is that when we act without that, so then our Ruach and our Nefesh fall into what's called Klipat Noga, Nefesh Bahamit, animalistic side of ourselves, the not so conscious side of ourselves, not feeling the right things, not thinking the right things, not saying and doing the right things from the right place. And the whole goal is to become a Benoni, meaning to reach back to the level of Neshama by way of Torah, Tefillah, and Mitzvot. And then once I hit that place of Neshama, then I'm tapping into Bina, which is already in the mochin. I'm out of the midot. I come back into the mind, and then from there it's much easier to get to kedusha, to chaya and yechida by way of the upper realms. So we're still trying to understand though what are these levels, right? Everything I just said was additional drippets from outside of the Tanya. That is trying to explain how the Tanya aligns with the system of the Arizal from Rav Itzhak Rafael Abuhatzeira. But now we want to come back inside the book and we're trying to understand what does it mean? How is there such thing called a Benoni? One of the questions we left off with, right, was, you remember, Achman Tzvi?
Which one?
How is there such thing as a Benoni? When a person's sinning, they're a Rasha Gamur.
And when they do tshuva.
Until they do tshuva, they're a Rasha. When they do tshuva, they're Tzadik Gamur. So when in the world is there time to be a Benoni? Where you're half-half? It's either you're dirty or you're clean. When is that? So this is what we're trying to understand. So, he she'elat Rav Hamnuna le'Eliyahu. Rav Hamnuna in the Zohar asks Eliyahu Navi, aval lefi tshuvat Eliyahu. Eliyahu answers there, Perush tzadik v'ralo, hu kumo shekatuv b'raya mehemena, parashat mishpatim. You see how he has aga'ah here? So there's one of these aga'ahs. That's where we're in. Okay. One of them there. I don't know where in your books, but Tzadik v'ralo, right? He she'elat Rav Hamnuna le'Eliyahu, aval lefi tshuvat Eliyahu. According to the answer of Eliyahu, Tzadik v'ralo u'kmo shekatuv b'raya mehemena. What Eliyahu answered him there, again, we don't have the Zohar here opened up in front of us, but what according to what they said there, it's according to the raya mehemena that we brought before, that Tzadik v'ralo is a person that has he still has a little bit of the bad. But the bad inside of him is kafuf latov. It's there to serve, meaning he has bad. Like, I want to go do that, but the thought comes up, he'll never act on it. The sins he won't do, but there's still some pull in there. It's just kafuf latov. It's there to serve. It submits itself to the good that's inside of him, but it's still kayam. It's not tzadik gamur. It's not complete tzadik that has no more bad inside of him. And there's veshivim panim laTorah, meaning there's, right? Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim chaim, meaning all these different places are talking about the same topic, but V'ha damrinan ba'alma, this is what it said in the world, b'demechza al mechza, when they say there's half sins, half mitzvot, Mikra benoni, when we call that a benoni, half-half, right? He has half mitzvot, half avirot, that's called a benoni. V'rov zchuyot mikre tzadik. A person who has majority of his being is righteous, is mitzvot, he's called a tzadik. Hu shem, one second, hu shem mushal inyan schar ve'onesh. This is just a name that we use like a nickname for schar ve'onesh. Right? This is the thing that we have to clarify. The Tanya, a lot of people have a hard time with this. I struggle with this for many, many years. That what does it mean that the Tanya says a tzaddik is just a complete person that's completely good? Like, what do you mean? Pshat of the Torah. A tzaddik is a person that's doing the right thing. That his majority of his actions are good. That he has no bad thoughts. That's a tzaddik. That doesn't make sense according to the Torah. Right? It's a hard thing, and I know other people struggle with that, but it's not the thing. What we're doing now is we're trying to define levels within us of consciousness and purity and closeness to Hashem within each one of us. And then there's this idea of what the Rambam talks about, that a person should always see themselves as Benoni. Their next step, they'll make the whole world righteous, or their next step, they'll destroy the whole entire world, right? That you're always 50-50, and the next thing you do will tilt the scales. That's something else. That's to do with schar ve'onesh. That's to do with that's the reward and the outcome of your actions, the consequences of your actions. You should always see yourself as in the middle. That's something else. I didn't forget you, one second. But we're not talking now since he's judged according to the majority, right? If a person were to come to get judged, right? And they look at that person, you see his majority righteous, so he's a tzaddik badin. In this judgment, because he came into the court case with 55% mitzvot and only 45% avirot, so he's a tzaddik, he's fine. Himself, is he a tzaddik? That's what we're talking about here in the book. When it comes to deen, there's benoni, rasha, tzaddik. You did the wrong thing, you did the right thing, you're half-half. Do you have some good points that can tilt the scale? Do you have some bad points that will tilt the scale? That's in deen. That's not talking about the essence of the person. You could have a rasha that goes to din and comes out the tzaddik. He was right in that case. So what? He's a bad person, goes against Torah his whole entire life. In this specific case, he was right. He's tzaddik badin. So we're not talking about here when we say that benoni. We have to understand what is the לעניין אמיתת שם התואר והמעלה של המעלת המדרגות חלוקות צדיקים ובינונים. When it comes to the אמיתת שם התואר, the truth of what is the definition of a tzaddik. Not in relation to a court case, what is a tzaddik? No, not that. What is a tzaddik? What is a benoni? What is a rasha? Separate of court cases. Tzadikim yetzer tov shoftam. The rabbis say, the tzadikim, their yetzer tov judges them. V'libi halal bekirbi. It says, libi halal bekirbi. What does that mean, David HaMelech? My heart was empty in my midst. A cavity, it's empty. The Yetzer Hara lives in the left side of the heart. David HaMelech was able to purify his heart to the point where he got vacated. He got the eviction letter, right? Property management showed up. Sorry guys, time to move out. No more Yetzer Hara. She'en lo Yetzer Hara ki harago beta'anit. He killed him with afflictions, with hardship, with work. So what's a tzaddik? A person that has no Yetzer Hara. אבל כל מי שלא יגיע למדרגה זו, anybody that didn't get to that level, אשר זכויותיו מרובים על עוונותיו, his merits are more than his sins. אינו במעלת מדרגת צדיק כלל. He's not at all a tzaddik. Not that he's not a tzaddik. We're not saying he's a bad person. No, he happens to be a person that has majority of his actions are actually righteous. But he's not defined as a tzaddik when we're talking about definition of essence of the person. He's not there yet. He still thinks bad. He still has bad coming up. He still does bad. Majority of the time, he does the right thing. You can't call that person by definition a tzaddik. Go ahead. You were going to say something before.
Kind of confused my question.
Yeah. With what I kept saying?
Yeah.
That's why I was saying I was very in the middle of it.
Yeah, I caught that afterward. You answered it, but now it kind of got confusing. Well, somewhere along the lines of when a person's growing, meaning if I remember correctly, you said you should stay at a Beinani.
No. A lot of Chabadnikim understand this book to be saying that. That's not the goal. The first line of this book is, in the heavens before you came down to this world, they make you take an oath that you're going to be a tzaddik and not a rasha. So what's the goal of life? To be a tzaddik and not a rasha. So how could you only be a Benoni? This book is teaching us how to pull ourselves out of the mud to at least the level of a Benoni, aka to get out of our emotions and at least tap into the right mindset. From there, we can pull ourselves to higher levels. So the goal is how to become a Benoni. Why? Because if you at least learn how to do that, becoming a tzaddik is not that far. Again, in these levels of definition, what is a tzaddik and what is that? That's a different onion. When you on what we're saying here, how do I use this book to help me in the process of growth? So then yes, everybody can become a tzaddik. A tzaddik means you completely purified yourself. We talked about this last time. You sinned in a certain idea, right? Let's say a person broke Shabbat, they went to a party. Let's say at the party, they meet a girl. And let's say the girl makes them become more spiritual. And then let's say they break up with the girl. And they start to do tshuva. And they realize they have to do tshuva for being with the girl and for breaking Shabbat. And they do tshuva. And now they're a tzaddik, they're moving forward, they're learning, they purify themselves, they're not interested in girls, they're not interested in parties, they're doing avodah. And they look back. When I went and I broke that Shabbat and I went out with that girl, was it a bad thing? Was it a negative thing? If they really still feel that way deep down inside, they haven't been purified. They haven't completely transmitted the bad inside of them and made it good. They don't understand how that was a step of yichud. Hashem needed you to go there at that moment for whatever twisted reason that he has, right? It was against the Torah and everything, but he decided you have to go there.
Differently, yeah.
And now you purify yourself. Now you left it. But if you still look bad and you see bad there, you see this, I did that.
So why do people say the opposite? Like,
That what?
that you never really did tshuva only until you regret doing it.
No. Regret is, there's two parts of it. That's the thing. So in the process of growth, after a sin, there's the part of halachically, how do I do tshuva? That's charata, vidui, azivat achet, Kabbalah latid, right? All the steps that the Rambam lays out, you have to stop doing the thing. You can't do tshuva while you're still doing it. Right? Stop doing it, at least at the moment. Regret it. Tell Hashem, I did this and this, and take upon yourself to behave better and to not get to that situation. What's the goal and the outcome of that? That's what halacha says for you to do. What's the purpose of all of those steps?
Cleanse yourself.
And then you would, what?
And go forward.
Yeah.
With a state of joy and happiness and oneness with Hashem. And if you look back after all of that and you still think you're responsible, and you're the one that did it, so what, you're separate from Hashem? You can do something against Hashem? Before you go into a sin, you have to think the whole entire world is in my hands, like the Rambam says. Benoni. My next step could destroy the whole entire world. Me affected mainly and everything around me. Or it could purify everything and make everything better. You have no right or heter or permission to go to any dark places, to do any sins, nothing. After it happened, so what? Now you don't believe in Hashem? Enod milvado means Hashem didn't look at that thing happen. He didn't allow that thing to happen in his world. He didn't need for it to happen in whatever. You don't understand why, and you don't have permission to go try to do it again. If something happened in this world, Hashem needed it to happen. And if you still see it as bad, if you still have bad inside of you, you still have a pull towards it. It's still taboo. It's still entertainable. It's still an idea in your mind that that was good for what it was, separate from my journey of coming closer to Hashem. So you could be a tzaddik, aval tzaddik veralo. You have bad in you. You still are connected to these places of negativity. You don't even see the light in it. The goal is to become like Yitro, that you see, why exactly? Ata yadati, now I knew. I knew all along that Hashem was in charge and He was taking me to all these crazy places. But now that it's good and I see it's good, you can get to the level of tzaddik v'tovlo. And you won't go back there. You're not even interested in it. And it doesn't even look bad. You see it as all part of the divine process. The chet, of course, the action was a sin. We're not going against the Torah. But in the bigger picture, there is no bad in me. The level of purification, it's very hard to get to a level where you're tzaddik v'tovlo. You don't have any bad in your heart at all. No meshicha, no pull, no desires. Yeah.
Is that something legit to like actually get to there.
If David could do it, we could all do it. David was born in a very bad mazal. A horrible situation. David's mazal, not only shochet, David's mazal, according to why did Adam HaRishon give him 70 years? Hashem wanted him to be the first king, the real king. And a king has to be dependent on the whole entire nation. So he doesn't get too prideful and too. So he had nothing. He has to get only from donations. The nation builds the king. So Hashem told Adam that, and Adam saw this neshama, and he said, "Can I be the first one to donate?" And he donated 70 years from his life. That's why he lived 930, because the mazal of David was for him to live 3 hours and die. That's how the Midrash explains it.
Also, he's on a blood moon.
Yeah, in Shabtai, also in Shabtai, which means it's very hard for him to adjust and to keep his mind focused. There were so many different things. David HaMelech had ADHD, according to this Midrash and Chazal, that he was born in Shabtai. The Baal Shem Tov talks about this.
It's ADHD? It's not like bloodthirsty or something?
There's many aspects in there. One of them, the Baal Shem Tov talks about, is that the people that are born in Shabtai, they have a very hard time applying their mind in a strong way to focus on something, to go straight for a Kedusha, Saturn. To focus hard on one thing, meaning David HaMelech, this is how the Baal Shem Tov teaches it. Why did David HaMelech wake up at midnight? Tikkun Chatzot, and to study and to learn Torah and everything. But what would David HaMelech say? It's for my health. It's for my, this is good for a person. All the kings get up at night. He would say all these Gashmi reasons, because that's how he had to deal with himself. He was from such a low place that he had to entice the body. When he would wake up, he wouldn't do that. He would go straight but he had to talk that way. I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night because it's healthy for me. He really wanted to serve Hashem. And that's what it says. I thought my legs, my ways, raglai is my hergelim, my habits. I educated my body to think in a way that it's going to serve itself, and then I pull it into Kedusha. And that's how he tricked the Yetzer Hara. That's how the Baal Shem Tov, one of the ways he explains it. So if David HaMelech could do it, Moshe Rabbeinu, same thing. They say about Moshe Rabbeinu that he had the face of a killer, murder. He had all the midot, the worst midot in the whole entire world.
Yeah, the king that went to see.
King, he wanted to go see him. He sent messages to go draw his face. The guy drew a murderer, a killer. And he's like, God forbid, you talk about, they're saying that this guy's the holiest person in the world. What kind of face is this? He says, that's what I saw. Meaning, he looked like a gangster. He looked like, we're talking about Moshe Rabbeinu, right? But, meaning from the shorish of his mazal, of this world makeup, not the best person in the world.
So
hardship of speech, all these different things. And
Did he go? Sorry.
no, so Tzilas HaPatzif is not a real thing, I guess.
it is, but Avodat Hashem is more of a real thing. That's the thing. When Chazal teaches us Israel is above Mazal. No, you're not. You're a human being like everybody else. If you don't act like a tzaddik, you're under Mazal like everyone else. When you were born, all these things. How did David HaMelech, exactly what the Baal Shem Tov was saying. He was born in that Mazal, and that's why he had to work in this way, but the work took him above the Mazal. We need to know this. Avram Avinu, parents were Nida. His father was the biggest server of Avodah Zarah in the world. It's Avram Avinu. That's the beginning of all of us. We have to know that nothing determines Rabbi Akiva, son of converts, Rabbi Meir Belanez, son of converts. These are the people that gave us the whole entire Torah Sheba'al Peh. It's avoda.
In Moshe's story, we don't hear anything that he really did avoda.
He went up.
First of all, he had Bodedut. He was alone a lot. He was a shepherd, and shepherds spend many hours alone with Hashem in deep contemplation. That's why all of the tzadikim of the Tanakh were, for the most part, shepherds, at least the 7 shepherds. And he had immense bitul to Hashem, humility, and he had love for Am Yisrael. And then after that, he did a lot of avodah. He dealt with 3 million people and God. He was in the middle of both 2 camps that are a rock and a hard place. The hard place being Israel. Hashem. So, back inside the Tanya. Therefore the rabbis say in the Midrash, Hashem saw that tzadikim were very few. Amad ushtaram bechol dor vador. Hashem established that there's not many tzadikim, right? There's 8 billion people alive right now. We'd be lucky if there's 36 like they tell us that there are, right?
We can count them.
Yeah, exactly. We can literally count them in a few hands. So imagine in all of generations, we're talking about a couple thousand people, right? So they have to be planted in every generation. They can't all come down at once, right? כמו שכתוב, צדיק יסוד עולם, right? Tzadik. No, I think we're back inside the book.
Huh?
We're back inside the book. ולכן אמרו חז"ל, right? So sorry, tzaddik yesod olam, that the tzaddikim, they are the foundation of the world. They keep the world going. Ach be'or inyan, to understand this, meaning to understand what are these levels of tzaddik, what's the level of benoni, על פי מה שכתב הרב חיים ויטל, זיכרונו לברכה. The Maruchu, Rav Chaim Vital, the main students of the Arizal, one of our tzadikim here from Tzfat, writes in Sha'ar HaKidushan Etz Chaim, Di lichol ish Yisrael echad tzadik echad ve'echad rasha. Yesh shtei neshamot. Every single Jew, echad tzadik ve'echad rasha, whether you're talking about a holy person or a person that's going against Torah, yesh shtei neshamot, has two souls. U'neshamot ani asiti, I made souls. Neshamot lashon rabim, it's a word of plural. Right? Neshamot ani asiti, so you have more than one. In every single individual Jew, you have more. Ki ruach milifnei ya'atov, shehen shtei nefashot. You have two nefashot, nefesh achat mitzad haklipa v'sitra achara. You have one nefesh from the side of the klipa and from the other side, meaning the forces of concealment and covering up the husks, right? The peels.
Not everyone has two. Everyone has two thoughts. Everyone wants to be good.
Everybody has two nefashot, two inclinations, two roots.
Force energies.
Right, exactly, two root force energies. One is from the klipa, meaning your body, essentially put the nefesh that's running through you, your lowest aspect of you. Right? Your bodily desires and your things that your inclinations that you want. This is what's called your blood, right? The spiritual vitality, the soul, that makes your blood move and your body work, that's what's called your nefesh. Ki nefesh habasar bedamhi. Why can't we, right? We have a shochet here. Why can't we eat blood? It's fine the Torah not to eat blood. Why not? This is it. Ki nefesh habasar bedamhi. Where's the nefesh? Where's the soul of the cow? In its blood. Where's your soul? Your most basic soul is called your nefesh. Where is it? Its resting place is called the liver. But the liver is what purifies your blood, and essentially your blood is holding your most vital, right? V'nafshi yatsa b'dabero. Reb Nachman says when a person has machlokit inside of them, kushia, they have questions on the Torah, questions on God, questions on themselves, questions on emunah, things that they're working through. Machlokit inside. Questions inside. Says it's only because you have blood in your system that you still haven't used to serve Hashem. Meaning that you eat from this world, you wear clothing, you engage with this world, and there's fallen sparks. Natati shalom ba'aretz, Hashem put peace in the land, meaning in the material world. What is that? There's letters from the spark of creation, when they're shattering the vessels, these sparks fell all throughout the world. We engage with them. But they're sparks, they're letters without permutation. They don't make any sense, it's just gibberish. It's just Hebrew letters scattered. So you eat from the cow. Inside the cow you have the minerals from the ground, the plants that it ate, the cow itself. Now it's going back inside of you, and you're meant to take it back up. And the way to do that is by way of speech. That's what makes you different than the cow. So now that you've ingested all of that, and you have all these letters, Campbell alphabet soup inside of you out of order, now the goal is to take all of that energy that's in machloket inside of you, retichat adamim, boiling blood, and to say words, and to put those letters back inside permutations that make peace, that speak tefillot and tishbachot to Hashem, prayers to Hashem, and now you're allowing for that cow and all the other energy that is out of order to come out in Tehillim, to come out in Amidah, to come out in Torah, and now all the machloket is coming out of you. Nafshi, my nefesh, the blood inside of me, Yatsa b'dabero. It comes out by way of my speech. The problems inside of me, my nefesh, my lowest side of me, can be elevated by way of speech. So this is what he's saying here. Everybody has two sides. One side is from the sitaracha, it's from the klipa, it's from the husk, that covers up the light of Hashem, and that's found in your blood. Umimena ba'ot kol hamidot ra'ot. From there comes all of the bad traits that a person has. Me'arba yesodot ra'im sheba. From the four bad elements that are inside of it. Right? Everything has four elements. Water, fire, earth, and wind. Everything has it. And in the nefesh, they're coming from the bad side. And it causes, each one of them is the archetype of many bad midot and traits. Meaning, kas, gava, anger, and pride, they come from fire. Right? Shenigba limala. Fire that always is rising up, right? Pride, anger, rage, this fire inside of you that's always lifting up, always pumping the chest up. Lusts and pleasure and delights and leisure and always trying to live the life and enjoy and all the good things, drug use, alcohol abuse, all these different indulgences of lusts, they come from water. What?
I wouldn't think it would be water.
You wouldn't think it would be water?
Fire, yeah. Because water sounds like very like...
The idea is that water...
It's more calm, like
seeps all the way down to the bottom.
it has no form. It has no form. Maim Rabim, this is what he's saying. Maim Rabim in Kabbalah is the klipot but it's the klipot of lust. Because water, the Maharal talks about this more in this book, like we learned, right? It's from Sfarim and Sofrim. So the Sfarim were from the Maharal, and the Sofrim is the Hashem. So the Maharal talks a lot about this, and essentially the water has no form. It takes whatever form you put it in. So a person that's trying to, just chill, just go with the flow, just be. He doesn't have a strong form, so that's like water, right? והוללות וליצנות והתפארות ודברים בטלים מיסוד הרוח. Now you're going to understand Tzfat a lot more. Nonsense, foolishness, mockery.
A little bit of water.
And being batel, just like, laziness and like, we're chilling. All that comes from ruach. And that's what you see in Tzfat. You see a lot of people. You've seen this, you're going to see this more.
I've seen it.
And you're going to be on the other side of it. You're never going to get on that side of it. You're not like that person from your teva, but everybody's mesugal to fall to these places. This city, if it's, the Chesed Avram says, Tzfat is gematria ktanav netzach. Netzach is what he's talking about here. It's aligned with ruach. Netzach, the higher side is pushing and perseverance, and I'm not going to let anything stop me. The negative side of Netzach is everything he listed here. Holalut and Leitzanut. And Batala. Of I'm going to let things prevent me. I'm going to make a mockery. It's not that important. What's the big deal to bow down to Haman? I'm just one person. What does it matter? Everybody else is doing it.
Haman?
Yeah, Mordechai. Haman HaRasha.
Oh,
Right? What's the problem to bow down? No. Netzach, in your face, I'll be the only Jew. I'm not going to let anything stop me from connecting to Hashem. The other side of that was going to the big feast of Achashverosh. Why not? What's the big deal? It's just the food. It's a big mockery. Leitzanut, olelut. You know what I mean? So this is the energy of Tzfat. And whoever comes here and is menatzeach, is perseverant and wants to grow, so then they tap more into the Shulchan Aruch side of Tzfat. And the Ruach will come either way. But the people that want Holilut and Leitzanut, they try to learn Kabbalah all day long, and they don't learn so much Shulchan Aruch, and both of these books came out of here for a reason. To tell you that this city has the ability to give you Kelim and Orot. It's just, what did you come here for? You come here to be a clown? To do magic tricks? To know heebie-jeebies? Or you came here to be a Yid connecting to Hashem? Netzach Yisrael lo yishaker. Netzach Yisrael lo yishaker. The true victory of Israel is that we don't lie. We want the truth. We want a Kadosh Baruch Hu. That takes Shulchan Aruch and the Ari and all the Kabbalistic and Hasidic teachings. V'atzlut v'atzvut, depression and laziness, miyasod afar. That comes from earth. וגם מידות טובות שבטבע כל ישראל בתולדותם, כמו ברחמנות, גמילות חסדים, באות ממנה. Also, all the good midot that we have inside of us, all the good things that we do, our mercy, our chesed that we do with other people, they also come from there, from the nefesh of the klipa.
What's the good side of the water? Said the negative energy of water is
It would be bitul.
lust, addiction.
Bitul. Bitul to Hashem. Meaning really to go with the flow. But not because I don't care. Because I care so much, I'm nullified to the will of Hashem. Rav Itzhak Rafael says an amazing thing, and those of us that have been there, we know it as soon as you're going to hear this. He says, wow, I prepare myself to say it. Rav Itzhak Rafael says that there's two main things that we're fighting right now in our generation. One is the internet and smartphones, and we'll understand why. Have patience in this next thing that I'm about to say. And the other thing is drugs. Both of them prevent you from getting something, and if you were to give them up, they would enhance you to get that thing. The internet side of things is the hard work, what's called amala Torah, the hard work in learning Torah, and the ability to receive the chitzoniyut, the pshat of the Torah. Halacha, Chumash, Tanakh, Gemara, Mishnah, all of that, you would be able to understand and be much more successful in and work harder in if you would give up the internet. And it's understandable. Internet, you open it, you ask the question, you get the answer. There's no work involved, right? And it's all revealed, and it's all there, revealed side of the Torah. Drugs prevent a person from getting into bitul and into sodot Torah, the secrets of the Torah and levels of nullification to Hashem, which is all the highest spiritual revelations and experiences that you could have. And the drugs take you away from that, right? It's like the easy, short way in, and therefore you can't really, because you're so used to quickly getting into a high state of bitul that you don't know how to breathe and meditate your way into it, which would be way more intense and way more powerful than the majority of the drugs you can take in your day-to-day. So it's clear. And this is a person that never touched either of those things. Not the internet and none of these smartphones. And he sees right into it, right? So we have to be aware of these things. These are real things, but here is very interesting what we're learning. That all of your bad traits and all of your good traits, they all come from your nefesh. They all come from the nefesh. So the question is asked, if the nefesh is from the klipa, it's from the bad, so how do I be merciful and giving out of that place? How does that place allow me to have the midot of rachmanut and gmilut chasadim? Ki b'Yisrael nefesh zo di klipa היא מקליפת נוגה שיש בה גם כן טוב. Us, our nefesh as Jews is from klipat noga. Take a little stop to explain what does that mean. There are 3 klipot tmeot. 3 things, 3 completely negative energies, forces that we're not allowed to go there and do anything. These are the things the Torah said. 365 things the Torah said are completely forbidden. Anything that we know is asur, right? Can't go there, no way to elevate it, no way to elevate the spark. There is a spark of Hashem in those places, not our job to work on it. How do we do it? We don't do it, right? How do you elevate the spark inside of a pig? Don't eat it. As a Jew, that's how you do it, right? So you're commanded not to go there, that's how you elevate it. Then there's Kiddusha on the higher end. There's Kiddusha, mitzvot. Do them. And when you do it, you're tapping into holiness. Eating on Shabbat is a mitzvah. It's not like eating on a Tuesday. Eating on a Tuesday, you have to do it because you have to stay alive, but it's not a mitzvah. You could do it in a holy way. How do you do that in a holy way? A regular, everyday meal? Or the lachaims we had this morning or anything like that. How can you do that in a holy way? That's already what's called klipat noga. Klipat noga is this mediary energy in between Kedusha and Klipa.
So it's not bad, it's not good.
It's not bad, it's not good. It's permissible. It's not asur. And it's mutar, it's not asur, but it's not good and it's not bad. It depends who you are, where you are, what situation you're in, and what mindset you're in. Meaning, eating food on Shabbat, mitzvah. Reb Natan of Breslov in the Kotel Achot says, eating on Shabbat is irat shamayim. Every bite more irat shamayim. It's a mitzvah. Every single bite, from the candy to the cake to the fish, whatever you eat, you're becoming holier. There's obviously levels to this, and a person could obviously abuse that as well. It's not that it's blanket, but in a blanket statement, Shabbat is a mitzvah, it's holy. Do the same exact Shabbat meal on a Tuesday. You're not necessarily doing a sin, but you're definitely not acting in a holy way. That much food in the middle of the week with wine in the middle of the day, 8, 11 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock in the... Not exactly, right? So what happened here? I ate the exact same thing I did on Saturday in the afternoon. Then it was a mitzvah. You were told to do that by the Torah. And now you had to eat. You didn't have to eat that much. And you didn't have to get drunk. And you didn't have to... Who said to do all that? But now it's a ilulav, a tzaddik, and I have intention to connect and to open my heart, or it's a fabrengen with the friends, and we have alcohol on the table, and we have steaks on the grill. We also have Sifrei Kodesh open, and guitars and nigunim, and we're singing out to Hashem, Kadosh. On a Tuesday, you elevated it with klipa in your mind up to Kedusha. Do it at a bar, exact same thing, without the Torah, you went into the klipa. That's Noga. So our Nefesh as Jews is from Noga.
Can a bar be Noga? Going to a bar be klipat Noga?
A bar like Zusha, yeah. A bar in Tel Aviv.
Going for a drink, random night with some friends.
Yeah, if you sanctify the event, yes. If you sit there and talk sports and nonsense and nothing of Yirat Shamayim comes up, then if there's pritzut there, if there's things that you cannot walk into that place without sinning, then no. But if you could go to a place like here in Tzfat, we have Zusha Bar, right? You can sit inside Zusha Bar. Everybody there is dressed modestly. The music there is holy. Everything is kosher. And while you're sitting around with your friends, you bring up things that are in your nefesh and you talk about Hashem. It doesn't have to be a shiur Torah, but it's not mockery. It's not a moshav leitzim. It's not a bunch of fools just sitting around trying to run away from and escape from this world. Listen, I can't talk to you in the Beit Midrash right now. I'm not interested in learning Torah right now. But let's go have a sichat nefesh as friends with a drink. Yeah, that can definitely be done in the right way. Again, go find a bar like that in Tel Aviv. I don't know to say you could, right? This is also condition. There's conditions to this.
I mean, if there's pre-2.
But go get a few beers and sit in your own apartment and do exactly what you would do in the bar just at home. What's the problem? Start talking nonsense. Now all of a sudden, why are you sitting here drinking? That's noga. And essentially, it's the same thing. This could also even be when you're married. A person gets married, right? Sex, for example, is a sin when you're single. When you get married, sometimes it's a mitzvah and sometimes it's noga.
When it's noga,
And even when it is a mitzvah, your mindset still needs to be in the right place. You're just doing it because you're a man you need to, or because you're doing a mitzvah right now and trying to pull down a holy neshama and trying to bring a yichud between you and your wife and your neshama. Like, you get me? That's the whole birur in noga is, first of all, check halachically, am I permitted to do this? Is it really noga and not klipa? Once it's that, it's all left in your mind. Literally, the clarification goes on in your mind. Why am I doing this? And where am I taking all of this to?
Okay. When it comes to, let's say, food, for example, just stama brach, is that elevating the klipa, or does it stay at noga? Or noga in general. Is noga its own klipa, or noga is what you do with the...
Noga is the status, both. Meaning meat inherently on a Tuesday is noga. Because it's not a mitzvah to eat. You have to eat, it's part of your bodily needs. But the whole thing with noga is that it's made up of both sides and it doesn't stay parv. It will go one way. So when I come to eat on Tuesday, yeah, it's parv now, but when I open up a book while I'm eating, or I make a bracha, as long as I haven't made a bracha, it's not noga, it's asur. It's forbidden. Because it's not mine.
What if you don't open up the book but you say the bracha? Is that
for sure?
Noga, or you say the bracha?
For sure, but there's levels to it again. I don't know, noga, you're allowed to now eat it, because it's not asur anymore, it's mutar. Your bracha is matir roto, that's what the Tanya explains it, that the bracha, what does asur mean? You know what the word asur means? Bound. Bound up, tied. And what does mutar mean? Latir, to release it. So something that's forbidden means it's tied up. You can't use it right now. It's not yours. As long as you hadn't made a bracha on something, it's not yours to eat it. It's Hashem's. So it's forbidden for you to even eat it. It's not noga. You know what I mean? The food as a whole is noga. You're allowed to eat the food. But right now, in the situation, it's forbidden for you until you make the blessing. Once you make the blessing, now the sparks are released. You're able to elevate. But now, while you're eating, you have to have the right mindset.
Where does Noga come from? The name.
The name, it comes from Yechezkel's vision. When he saw the Merkava and the Chashmal and all these holy things. So there was a light there and says, Noga savivlo. There was this light surrounding it, this energy surrounding it. From that, we understand the Zohar also explains that this is an energy like that. This is the klipa. This is essentially our whole entire life, is clarifying Noga. Yeah. Right? You see that a lot of people just in their simple avoda, what's the big chokhmah to do mitzvot? What's the big chokhmah to do avirot? Yeah. It's like a lot of people, like the average Haredi person that grew up, right? Kids that you grew up around, most of them are never going to become big sinners.
Yeah.
They're going to be...
They're surprised in my own life, like, wow. Yeah.
What I've seen by 6 years old, you never could imagine, right? So then what's the big avoda? If I'm never going to take off my bekesh and my payas and my beard, I'm going to put on tefillin every day for the rest of my life and learn Torah, a little bit of Torah every single day. So where's the big avoda? Noga. It all comes down to noga. How am I going to eat? How am I going to talk to people? How am I going to engage with this world? That's where the main birurim happen. So let's finish the perek. We're going to finish the perek. We're saying, right, that essentially the Nefesh is where all of our midot come from. All of them, the good ones and the bad ones. So we ask the question, how in the world did Klippa give birth to such good midot? Because the Jew's Nefesh comes from Klippat Noga. Vihi, this Klippa is the secret of Misod Etz Hadat Tov Vera, the tree of knowledge that has inside of it good and bad. Ma she'en ken nafshot umot ha'olam. Umot ha'olam hen mishar klipot me'ot. Their nefesh is not from Noga. Their nefesh comes from the klipot atmeot. She'en behen tov klal. There is no good there at all. כמו שכתוב בעץ חיים, שער מ"ט, פרק ג'. That's what the Arizal says. וכל טיבו דעבדין האומות עובדי גילולים לגרמאי ועבדין. Any idol worshipper that does good in the world does it for himself. It's not inherent good. What am I going to get out of it? I'm willing to do good if I can get something out of it. That's where it comes from. כדאיתא בגמרא על פסוק וחסד לאומים חטאת. Chesed for the nations, hatat. It's chet, it's a mistake. שכל צדקה וחסד שאומות העולם עושים, אינן אלא להתייהר. Any chesed that they do, it's just for the name, it's just for the pride. That's our parak for today.
What about a guy that keeps the Sheva mitzvot b'nei Noach?
So we see a lot of times that it's coming up more in our generation, that there's this inyan that even the goyim are elevating themselves out of the way that Chazal spoke about them. Think about it. 2,000 years ago, every single goy in the world was a pagan. Pagan, not even though 99% of Christians believe a dead Jew is a god, they're not exactly pagans, sacrificing children and doing crazy things. Muslims also, for the most part, are not doing. They still sacrifice and they still blow themselves up, right? But they're not like they were when they were just pure Arabs before Muhammad came along, right? Arabs were out of this world. That's the problem with them now. You took such a crazy tradition and add on top of that Islam, it's like, right? But now you see there's people that are learning Torah, like you're saying, there's people that they want to be Noahites, they want to be this. It's elevation. So the whole world is elevating. But we have to stay loyal to what our tzadikim are telling us. The Tanya says outright, our nefesh comes from klipat noga. There's tov vera. Depends what you're doing it for. You could give tzedakah because you're a good person. You could give tzedakah because you want recognition. When they give tzedakah, it's only because they want recognition. There is no inherent tov. There's always some catch to it. There's always some thing.
Tzedakah is always good. That's the thing.
For us.
Yeah, it's not naga, is it?
No, it's
It
nachon.
could always be,
Correct.
even with the wrong. No.
Correct.
That's
Yeah. Baal Shem Tov definitely says this. That's for sure. You're right. Bad example, but
Yeah.
Zat Hashem. We chapped it.
You got it.
Amen.
Baruch Hashem.
Love